So what I was saying is, I'm trying to understand, between what the ancients would have called this, what we call ego, because ego is a pretty modern concept. And, if you study like Buddhism and all that sort of stuff, they really bash the whole concept of the ego, But, like, 2,000 years ago, what was Jesus talking about when how did he refer to the ego? And, how did he explain to, like, fishermen and carpenters how to, overcome the pitfalls on the spiritual path that we now know as ego. And there are references in the literature to things like the thief and the liar, because, and it makes sense, the thief is that ever-present thing or seemingly ever-present thing that just steals the true gift of the moment, right?
Yeah.
And the liar is the same thing. It's pretty much drowning in falsehood and making falsehood, or trying to make falsehood of the ultimate reality. And the universe loves us anyway. But it's occurred to me that illusion is probably a better word to use, because it's not. You can kind of get around the ego bashing, which doesn't. At some point, you have to get past ego bashing. So, and another word that I think the ancients used is the word devil. And if you think of that scene in the Garden of Gethsemane, on the Mount of Olives, where Jesus, it's the night before he's crucified and everything, and just before he gets arrested. If you think about that whole thing where the quote-unquote devil comes to him and takes him up on the mountain and takes him up over the city, so you can have all this stuff. I mean, that's exactly a great description of what ego and the illusion of separateness from divinity is all about. Like, how would you explain that 2,000 years ago? How would you explain the process of soul wrestling with itself? Because everybody has that moment where you think that you can you feel powerful. You feel that you're entering your world stage. You're entering into your realm of expertise. Where it's time for you to do what you came to do. Okay. So you feel a certain amount of power, but do you remember the context of why it is that you came? And how you got there. All of it. And the total, when I say context, I mean, like, do you remember who you really are? Do you remember that you're an infinite child of the light? Right. So the concept of illusion, because it's the illusion of separateness that this whole thing, the devil, the thief, the liar, because those things are false too. They're not. It's just a handle to describe an illusion, and I think the word ego is a modern handle that we like to throw around, but it's still just an illusion, you know, just like the rest of this. You know, because it's not. Illusion is another phrase for something that isn't infinite, you know, and given that only what is infinite is real. Just a thought.